Well, there we are. Except for that guy.
Pineapple chopping.
Pineapple guy.
Doesn't he know the easy way?
There's the right size. We're the right size now.
Oh, small for a bit.
Good day. Welcome to the show. I'm Marijuana Man. This is From Under the Influence.
I'm Mr. Cookie. I'm here rolling joints today.
Nice. And he just walked in the door, which is very nice.
Literally.
So we've had no time to rehearse. So if it seems
made up
or spontaneous,
mostly is.
It is. Well, kind of like the rest of the show.
Then it's good.
Hey, you can't make this shit up.
That's right.
We have one monkey and an infinite number of typewriters writing the show.
One click at a time.
Yeah.
Or I guess 2 clicks from everyone.
So yeah, beautiful day here in downtown Vancouver. We're experiencing springtime now.
Yeah, it's true. That's crazy.
Yeah, sunshine and cherry blossoms. That's what we're known for, is cherry blossoms.
Yeah, I know. I got to go get some pictures now of them now that they're all out. I didn't realize.
Yes, each year we get the pictures of those to go, wow, each year they come out.
And never more than other years, I don't think. They're always about the same. Yeah. I'm going to look. I'm actually going to take pictures this year and look at my pictures from like 2 years ago and be like, any diff?
And they make a huge mess at the end of the day once they're done impressing us. And no cherries.
Yeah, cherries you can't eat.
Can't have any cherries. What the fuck? Why not have cherries on them? That would feed a lot of cherry-loving folk.
I would be down there all the time.
Who wouldn't like to stop, eat a cherry on the way to school or work? Or
I do when there's blackberries or something that I can see.
Sure. The rest of the world does that. When there's an orange there, take it, eat it. Come on. Some hybrid cherry treat.
Yeah.
Right.
Just graft on the cherry thing onto like a rootstock that's already there.
Veritable CBD of cherry trees. CBD strain.
Worse, I think. No cherries, at least.
No
the CBD
cherries.
has weed-looking stuff.
Yeah.
Some nugs.
I don't really get the CBD thing in terms of... I understand CBD. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, it's not THC. That's the
yeah. But people have claimed that they've found strains that are high in CBD. And I have to say to myself, why is that strain high in CBD?
Well, it's probably like low in THC, so it's like hemp or some sort of not hemp. But
well, this is further to their claim that it's not.
I know.
That they found a pheno within the high THC variety that was high in CBD. And I thought to myself, well, how does that relate to the cannabis plant? Like, why? First of all, one would have to ask, why does the plant produce CBD? What's its purpose for doing that? We have not created CBD. It's there.
Yeah, I wonder why it's there.
And we've made all we've made about it just because it's there. Now, in the beginning, I was taught that the creation of THC was as a result of a chain reaction that started with some substance and went through a chain reaction, turning into different things and then becoming CB or THC. Now, they revise that and suggest that there's yet another branch that it can either go CBD or THC.
I don't know, because then we'd see. I think that one's false. Some of these things, I don't know. They just talk out of their ass, I think. And they're like a scientist guy, but they're like, we don't really know. And like, they haven't been around a lot of pot, you know?
So I appreciate the potential of the science or whatever, but then again, I come back to saying, well, why is this plant doing that?
Well, if it would have chose the path, we would have seen it a lot more than it is. Like, it's not just like, oh, it just only takes it 1 in 1,000 times or whatever.
Right.
Even that, there'd be lots.
So I still think that it is that original chain reaction is my guess. Because or somebody should start looking into the reason why the plant is producing CBD in the first place. It has to have a reason. So
Yeah, like they used to say THC was either like the bug, resilience part of it, or the blocker for like UV and stuff like that. But who really knows unless we try it all on it? We need all that, like that. I'd like to do that testing.
But those, at least those two things make more sense.
They do.
They do make sense as to the conditions where it is and what it's trying to do at the end of the day. So it's my belief that the plant is actually, I don't know. I don't really understand it all because of hemp. Hemp is the wild card here in my head. I don't get why there's such a low amount of THC if in fact it's there to ward off bugs and maybe to protect against UVB, right? So why is the hemp so different where there's no THC? Why
And it looks the same. Like if you put them side by side and you're like, pick one.
It's just, is this a human creation?
That's what I mean. It
from
might be
that
like,
high THC producing cannabis?
or well, not even, or maybe it's just like one of those things that's never been thoroughly tested. They're just like, oh yeah, that's hemp.
Looks like pot, smells like pot,
Yeah, it
acts
looks
like pot, walks like a duck. Come on, I don't know. I don't get it. Where did that come from, or where did the other one come from? I don't see any evidence in the world of taking hemp to
And making
a
it-
high mountain valley and turning it into high THC producing marijuana.
Well, that might happen way back in the day, when there was only like maybe mediocre weed hemp around. It was like all one thing. And then some guys were like, oh, this is what you need to make your rope and shit. So everyone was like, okay, we need that. So everyone took the plant. But then when they went up to the high elevation, over time it evolved into something that wasn't actually that. But I don't know. Because it all has to start somewhere at one thing. It wasn't like there was like 100 plants all of a sudden, But
Plus, I think we're in agreement that cannabis was there before humans. So it's always been there. So we discovered it when we got there, and it was this. So what? In the Ukraine, it was hemp, and in the Congo, it wasn't hemp. Is that what
That's what-
happened?
I think so,
appreciate
but-
that we know a little bit more about the occurrence of THC producing cannabis than we do about hemp. Really?
Well,
no
and
one's
there's
even
like 50
questioning.
varieties of hemp now or more. I don't know. I looked at Health Canada's website and they had like a ton.
Yeah. Skunk number 1 hemp
H34695 and
times Afghani.
62.
But I don't know, apparently this is the same plant. So why would the cannabis plant or the hemp plant say, hey, I don't need to make THC. I'm going to have my chain reaction just stop.
Well, and that's weird too,
Right.
because even with hemp production, they say like, oh, you don't need pesticides because hemp's a natural pest deterrent. So that's not coming from THC anymore, unless you only need like a small fraction, a 0.03% or whatever. But that means then like a spider mite wouldn't even want to go near like a sativa because it'd be like too high in THC. You'd be like burning it up. But I don't know exactly.
Yeah, the spider mite's prepared to take its chances, apparently.
Get ripped.
Yeah, something's going on there. So, I don't know. Nobody really cares to the largest extent, it would seem, because they're not questioning it at all as to what this plant is actually up to. And I would have to think that to ask those questions, you might figure out how to encourage it to do it more. Couldn't you? Instead of going, oh, we found this CBD, high CBD in our skunk Afghani cross.
Well, if you knew why it was happening, then yeah, you can manipulate it to do what you want to do. But they're not.
Or
on
you
that.
can capitalize upon it. I don't know, manipulate. See, there's another tricky little thing with cannabis in my mind is that there's one thing that's very easy to manipulate, and that's the flowering cycle.
Yeah.
right? All I have to do is flip a switch every day.
Well, the
say-
thing will build
Right.
up to it is also in vegetated. So when you do like sea of green and you just flip it right away, it's good. But I don't think it's as good as like that plant. The amount of vegged for like a couple months to get its full like whatever maturity out of the plants, and then it goes. But I don't know. I haven't
But-
been able to test it all.
By virtue of this ability that I have to make this plant do that miraculous, it's quite a miraculous thing. And all it requires
awesome.
for
I'm
me
here.
is to set a timer,
Yep.
right, and keep the plant alive. So, by virtue of that, I think that we've long since felt that we can manipulate this plant kind of any way we want, right, and that whatever we think we're doing, we're actually doing. But what did people do? How did people? They say that the THC content has increased dramatically. How did they do that? What was the reason?
Who was
for
the guy doing that
plant?
work?
How did you do it?
And it's not like one guy did it, because we would know about it. He would be like, "Oh, I'm the guy that made high THC plants." It's like, nope, they just kind of like found
All of a
it,
sudden
or
now they're fucking testing it in the high 20s.
yeah.
THC percentage was what happened. How did this plant and why? The plant won't fucking do whatever I want it to do.
That means in 20 years, Greg, we're gonna have weed that's like 40% THC. It'll just be like, oh, it's like shatter now.
And it'll still be green crack.
Wow, yeah.
Right? But why, in terms of the cannabis plant, would it do? Well, all of a sudden, it's going to start making more THC in this very same room with the same conditions that it was in yesterday. Why would it do that? Why would there be one phenotype that does? Why would that be? The plant doesn't fucking do my bidding. It does what it needs to do based on what it's presented with in the room. That's it. That's all. If you don't put a light on, you're not going to get nothing.
Yeah, it's gonna be shit. Don't feed it.
Right?
It's gonna be a little shittier.
So every detail in that space will determine what the outcome is based on the plant going, hey, it's fucking too cold, too hot, too wet, this, that, or the other thing.
Oh, I'd love to have a controlled area where you could have like strips of like totally controlled areas. You would have like 10 or 50 plants or whatever, like in a line, and you could control everything about it, and then you'd see exactly what happens. You're like, okay, we kept it at this temperature and did this. This one we only fed it this much. This one we put UVB and UVG and
I'd
added
like to do that too.
all that shit in there,
And that's what really needs to be done if you want to grow the best weed.
Well, or even just figure out what's going on, so then you can find out. Like, say they're like, we need CBD or CBG or CB whatever, another cannabinoid that's on there. We'd be like, well, the reason it's forming is because of this. So you blast it with this, or you do that, then you're gonna have more. Raise the pressure, or make it less pressure or whatever.
Yeah, much to be learned, but at the moment here, we're still being guided by prohibition practices that haven't been tested with, as Mr.
Yeah.
Cookie said, it would be wonderful to do, and no one has. No one's had the luxury of doing that.
No.
Even those now who do don't even know they should.
Yeah, well, they're not really doing it proper.
They're
They're
just growing
just
exactly
testing.
the same way we all are.
Yeah, like they're taking the black market thing when they're just like, oh, whatever we can do it. Well,
Why
no,
did
you're-
they think that that was correct?
Well, because that's what people were buying, and they figured whatever. We learned from Richard. He grew mids his whole career. Now he's over here working for us, growing mids, and
Yeah.
people aren't buying it now for some reason.
But without considering, I guess, that we were buying it because it was illegal. And
Well,
there-
I'm
and
forced
there-
to buy
and
it.
there
That's what
isn't
they're
an-
trying to do now.
yeah.
They want to shut down the shops. They're like, oh, shut down all these illegal shops, because then they know, like, it'll be like before, well, that's the weed we're going to have to buy. But technically we can grow our own, so they're fucked, but whatever.
Just like the black market. Like they took everything from prohibition.
Yeah,
Good
like
or
even
bad.
even that part, like back in the day when
Yeah.
it used to go dry. When I lived in Ontario, there was a time when there was no weed around. So even if it was like the shittiest brick weed, you'd be like, "Oh, right on, I got some." But like, you're like, "Oh, choking it down."
So they would like that to continue, that notion that any pot will sell.
Well, they want to have no other pot out there because then they can sell their low grade. You know, they're like, okay, people aren't buying it in the shops, but there's weed options for them.
Now, in my mind, you shouldn't, from the get-go here with legalization of cannabis, you shouldn't instill different grades. What the fuck's that about? Different grades of cannabis only exist because it was illegal, not because of any other reason.
Well, because it was shitty growers that
Right?
said, like, oh, I got good weed. And then when a good person that knew good weed looked at it, they're like, well, that's not good weed. That's mids. You know, it's like half good.
Well, because weed was illegal and there wasn't nearly enough, we had to formulate a grading system within the black market because it wasn't all great. It wasn't all very good. Some was outdoor, some was greenhouse, some was this, some was that. So there became a grading system that we developed. But why is that transferring into the legal market when you have every opportunity to make the best fucking weed
Yeah, it should just be all like the
every
best.
time? Would that not be what you strive for rather than talking about the fact that mids even exist?
Well,
What the
yeah,
fuck
you'd just
is
be like, no,
that?
our weed's like the best, you know? Like, that's, I don't know.
You put it in the jar and you let the world go, oh my God, that's fucking great. Right? But they don't. They're arguing over how much money they can get for mids. And they get a lot.
They got a lot for it, yeah,
Right,
more than the black
so-
market.
They want way more for weed that's grown well, given our standards of today, right? They want more for that than the other crop. Like, what the fuck is it? But then this is a brand new industry. You go, wow, you guys fucking don't have a clue what you're doing, and you're sucking in the public to buy your shitty weed.
Like, yeah, even if their weed was like top shelf and like, you know, amazing quality every time, the price is still a little too expensive, you know? It's like, come on, guys, you know, you got the ability to drop it down. The black market has it at like, I don't know, what the fuck it's at, $2 a gram, $4 a gram, like.
Well, let's get real about what it actually costs to produce it. It's not my fault that you don't know what you're doing and that you're probably wasting a lot of money every day.
Just on, yeah,
'cause
general
you don't know
operation.
anything, right? And you've gotten so huge that you can't control these plants or the environment properly. You don't even know what environment to provide. It's an arbitrary choice of every grower I've ever known, based on what their fucking place offered them.
Yeah, what they could afford at the time, you know? Like, do I need this? Do I got that?
I'm going to put it in my garage. There you go. I'm going to put it in my bedroom or the attic or anywhere. Anywhere will
Some
present.
people are like, I'm going to build a shop. I'm going to build this, you know? Like, well, that's what happens.
So now everything that you bring to the table to produce the marijuana, all the equipment and stuff, is now based on kind of where your fucking basement is.
True,
right?
yeah. You're not going to bring a 100-liter reservoir down your stairs because, no.
It's based on where you're going to draw your outside air from.
Where you're going to exhaust.
Right? And
If
the
you're gonna
temperature
exhaust.
and humidity of that air make a big difference, right? So it's arbitrary. So cannabis, luckily enough, seems to be able to thrive within a fairly wide range of conditions. From
Oh, yeah. Way more than any other plant, I think.
yeah, growing them in a Pepsi bottle to fucking the
Styrofoam
state of
thing,
the
yeah.
art, right? So that's how it has survived within our culture, is that it has still provided us, no matter what we've done to it.
Like, yeah, you chop a little branch off a plant, put it in a little bag, travel for 5 to 10 hours sometimes, snip that little end off, put a little root gel on it, put it in a thing, and boom, that plant's growing over on that wherever you are far away. And it's like amazing.
So thanks to cannabis, I got to say that, for at least playing along with us no matter what, really. Like and always, no matter what we've done to the plant, we've always been thankful that we had that weed at the end of the day. no matter what it was like. And that's kind of interesting.
It's true.
So the plant, must get that vibe, must get that energy from us, how much we fucking love it.
Oh, it does,
Even
'cause you
though
can
we're
see, yeah.
overfeeding.
And
or
I think that
whatever
comes into when you find people, when you buy weed, some people have like the top quality weed, and you're like, oh, wow, this is a lot nicer than this weed, even though it might be grown the same way. There's that much more passion into that crop or something, and I believe that 100%. Like,
Well,
I thought about selling
There's
that
gotta
to the
be something
LPs.
to
I was gonna go love all the plants for them, so they might have better weed at the end. Just weekly lovins, go through. Hey girls, how's it going? Looking good, putting on weight in
Sure.
a good way.
show up every day and say, "Can you leave us alone now, please?"
Yeah. And put on some music,
Yeah,
whatever.
Walk around, talk to the plants.
Can tell them, don't worry, you're doing a good job here. People you work for are dicks, but don't worry,
Yeah, we'll protect
you're
you.
still saving lives.
So yeah, there's much to be learned, and well, this round of people that are out there doing it now, I don't think they're gonna learn too much. I think they're gonna cut and run. Okay, when the money stops flowing, that's when they're done. So we'll just wait it out, right? When the drooling stops, then we'll get around to maybe growing some good weed and better weed than we've ever seen. I'd have to think that is a distinct possibility here.
Well, it's true, yeah.
Like we've never had the chance.
No,
one
actually, you
has.
see some now in America, like through Colorado and some of those legal states where those people are growing the legal crops, like for their shops and stuff like that. They're doing it like proper, They're not harvesting on like a time-based thing. They're like looking at the plant, going like, "Oh no, let's leave it another week or whatever," and like keep going
Well.
at it. And then it's like, okay, nice, now it's done, Where
You'd have to see what limitations that they've presented to the plants in their respect, because there always will be, right? Unless you're growing on the side of the fucking mountain in Thailand or in the Hindu Kush Valley, right? You're not in the best conditions. You just can't be. So
Yep.
we've done a very good job working with what we've had to work with, I gotta say, but I'm not convinced that we're fucking even close to what the potential is here. If you want to increase the THC, I can show you how to do that.
Well, and
So-
some of the even some of those new gear that's out there is gonna change the way that they
Well,
grow. Hopefully, if they take advantage of it.
if they take a look at the plant for a moment, and that's where the answers lie, not in our desires or our sales pitch, right? Because you still, under a great number of different conditions, still produce pretty good weed. So it doesn't really matter what the fucking lamp guy said, or the nutrient guy, or the pH guy, or the fucking, right?
No, as long as it's done right or something, and there's a little bit of love in there, I find it turns out good. I've never grown a shitty crop and been like, oh, that's a shitty crop. I had like a bunch of different plants. Some weren't as good as others, but I wasn't like, oh, it's a crappy plant.
It's not really that hard
And I'm
to
fussy
do.
as fuck, so it's probably just a good plant and I didn't like it.
But if you're fighting with humidity, right, that's the biggest problem. People don't know what to do. But get a dehumidifier going on.
Yeah, start it up,
Right?
you know.
gotta get the fucking, you gotta get the water out of the air. It's not like you can pull in air that's 75% humidity.
And then blow it on your hot plants.
Doesn't matter how quickly you exchange the air in the room, you're still bringing in 75% humidity and not dealing with it, right? And you've got more moisture in there with however you're bringing water to the plant. Beyond that, so it gets tricky.
Yeah, you almost
And
need like a full control, 100% control out of all aspects, and then you can just manipulate
Yeah.
it till you fucking dial it
find
in.
out which, and
Oh,
maybe
it doesn't even work with this, or it doesn't need this anymore, Oh, wow, really? Wow. Yeah, we didn't put any. Look at it, it's awesome. Oh.
So, and maybe it's kind of strain specific, where you could run strains through different programs, find out which one it likes the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't you do that with your apples or your corn, isn't it? Or is it just the world this random with other crops that
No, they
know,
narrow
did-
it down
did you
because
have a-
they sell you that corn seed and it's gonna be,
it's
that
going to be the
corn.
one?
It's not like, oh, that cob was shitty. Low end cob.
So I talked to a wheat farmer one time in Canada here, and I said, "So, like, what do you know about wheat?" And he said, "Well, nothing."
Grows the seed from this guy.
I said, "Where do you get your seed?" He said, "Down at the co-op." He said, "We all grow the exact same seed because that's the one that works." So there you go. And they've made no developments in wheat in 100 fucking years because it's really hard to do. He talked to me once about a guy he heard about who was developing a strain, and he actually used that word, a strain of wheat that would mature earlier and yield more. I thought, oh,
The
that's-
dream.
That sounds like cannabis, doesn't it? And he said, but he's been working at it for 20 years, full-blown science. Still hasn't figured out how to do that. You go, wow, really? Huh. Look at how we have thought and think we have manipulated cannabis. So I'm not too sure. I think we've helped it survive, and it has done the rest.
It's true, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, thank God. So we still have cannabis to work with. Because if it didn't survive, like obviously we wouldn't be here.
And it has the will to live. It's hard to kill, really. Like,
does.
if you're killing it, there's something going on.
Much of what we take advantage of in its life is as a result of its desire to continue living.
Yeah.
Cloning is
Just
a very
chop her
simple
off,
thing.
yeah.
Like in the wild, if a branch actually fell onto the ground and leaves covered it up, roots will grow there naturally. That's what it does, right? So us cloning, taking these cuttings, is no miracle. Just it's doing it, not me.
Yep.
And it'll pretty much do it anywhere. You carry the cutting around in your pocket if you don't mind soggy pants, and it would root.
Well,
It's a fairly resilient plant in that respect. But so thank God for that. And now we can actually hopefully utilize legalization and to discover the even better
the
and-
true possibilities of this plant, not what we think we know.
Yeah, like there's no way I could say that we've done it all and we know it perfectly, because I know many things about it for sure that are not correct at the moment. So,
Yep.
and it lies perhaps in the difference between hemp and high THC producing marijuana. Like, I'm curious, very curious. Because the plant does what it needs to do. It's called no form without function. It will not do something it doesn't need to do. And it only does things based on the environment that it's presented with, whatever that is. So, some schools of thought suggest that THC is partially produced in this plant it will absorb UVB radiation at a certain fucking spectrum,
Yeah, at only a certain spectrum.
280 to 320 nanometers or something like that. That's very interesting as far as I'm concerned. So, the plant, if in fact that's true, these trichomes are designed to protect it from this light. Not from the orange fucking section of the spectrum, not in the veg section. It's not afraid of that. It uses that light to grow. And that's easily produced by any plant light bulb manufacturer. Right? They do that, make those light bulbs pretty good. But for all of these years that we've grown pot indoor, those plants are not being attacked by UVB spectrum in that spectrum, because those lights don't emit into that spectrum. None go below 400. So the plant doesn't have to work as hard, doesn't have to produce as much, if you will, to defend against it. So the potential of us increasing the amount of THC inside these heads is laughable, given that we're not even attacking it with the
Yeah,
right
unless you
things
just
to
make more
make it
heads or
make it
something.
increase production. How do you do that? You go, all right, you be stronger. I want you to
More.
be stronger.
Like, I just figured the testing got better. Like, back in the 70s, they had a little shitty test. They're like, yeah, it's 4% there, 4%. Oh, it's 7% there, 7%. Yeah, that's what it is. Then it was like 13%, you know. Now it's like, oh, it's heading near 20. Well, maybe they got proper testing now.
Well,
Because, like, the
the
old
number,
Thai weed
though.
from Thailand that was, like, unseeded and, like, good. It was fucking strong as hell. Like, so I don't know.
ripped
how-
your fucking head off.
Yeah, like I would say that would be a high THC plant. Like even to this day, if I had a sample to test, people would be like, "Wow, that must like probably 30%." I don't know, but like something.
Generally, though, strong sativas test fairly low, like around 13, 14 in their
so it's
test
something else.
realm. And no one ever questions that. When you go, well, why did this fucking sativa rip my head off? And it tests so low, and that fucking Girl Scout cookies didn't. And
Well,
it tests so
some of them have
high.
good terpenes, but then again, some of them do not. Like some of those old hazes, even a 16 or 18 weeker isn't so flavorful sometimes. But yeah, you're fucking going for a ride.
I also know that when in times in my life when I've run out of weed, and you found the teeniest little roach, crushed in a book or something, you got
Like
blasted.
Cheech and Chong
You got-
styles.
You still got blasted, though.
Yeah, I know for
You
sure.
still got a buzz off it, which always amazed me.
Oh, good buzz.
So I don't know. It's a
Yeah, you
wondrous
had no
plant.
weed and you just had like a little sprinkle. You're like, okay, I'm just gonna smoke that in a little pipe, and fucking you get a buzz off her. Like it's not like you're not like, oh, I'm not even stoned.
Yeah, it's. And thank you, cannabis, for being there for
I think
us.
that's just like to get you back. It's like, oh, cannabis is like they're always supporting me, buying me up, smoking me up, and then sometimes they can't really afford it. Here's a little kickback. You just need a little bit to get high.
Yeah.
But if you have more, well, smoke more. It's always more enjoyable. But a little will get you by.
Oh, yeah, we smoke way too much. I don't know too much. We smoke a lot.
I smoke a lot. I went back home there for a while and I hung out with some friends that smoke weed, they tell me. And my one friend's girlfriend had to go in the house and lay down because she was too high. And my other friend's fiance, she doesn't actually smoke or very rarely. And like from the secondhand smoke when I cloud it up, it's like almost too much, So it's like, but average, more than average.
No
So,
extra charge for the secondhand smoke.
yeah, for that bonus
You
buzz.
might wanna-
I ask him, I'm like, well, are you gonna kick in some for the buzz too? Like,
Oh, I'm not getting high, they all say.
yeah,
And then they're hungry and laughing and enjoying life.
exactly.
So the news today, what's Seth Rogen? He's in the news today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's he doing now? Movies?
Getting together with Canopy Growth.
Well, he didn't grow weed or nothing. He's just like the guy
No, he says he's given up on cannabis. And
going with LP.
so he's signed an agreement with Canopy Growth right away to show that he's serious. That's it for him. He's no more cannabis.
So he
for
won't
him.
smoke that stuff. So then he's just gonna
Yeah.
be like businessman.
Yeah. So. No, they did announce that they've signed some agreement. Canopy Growth got 25% of his company that is called House plant.
Houseplant.
There you go. That's exactly, and that would have exclamation points behind it. The way Mr. Cookie even said that.
I'm like,
House plant. It's not a house plant.
I'd like it to be a houseplant, don't get me wrong, in everyone's house, but I don't know, there's gonna be confusion there on the poor kids, you know? The young kids will be smoking the houseplants. Like, oh, don't mess with my houseplants, Mom will say. We're going away, can you water my houseplants? And they'll be like, that's what they're talking about.
Wink,
Fucking
wink. The house
Smoking the poinsettias and dying or something.
and getting hurt. Yeah, there you go. That's fairly irresponsible.
Belladonna, they're just like, oh.
Pineapple Express visit to the hospital.
Quick one, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like that, it's just another list in the list of stupid things that cannabis growth does.
Well, that one's
'Cause
a
they
weird one,
got
because that guy has nothing to do with weed except for he wrote a weed movie, but that's fine, you know? Like,
No, he's got a business. He started
Yeah,
a
home
business
grow
that they
house
went and gobbled into. That's what they do. That's because they got unlimited amounts of dough to work with.
he's like sitting there hitting a bong, gravity bong in his place. He's like, hey, let's start a little company up to his buddy. Hey, it's like houseplant.
We'll
Yeah.
sell it. We'll use my name to sell it to Canopy Growth, who cannot use his name again to promote their products. What are they doing? Going to hang on to these people? They're going to be in the green room until Health Canada says, okay, you can use them to advertise, and then you'll bring them out of the closet and you go, hey, remember that we hired Snoop and fucking
Oh, yeah, I
Martha
guess
Stewart?
Snoop can't even like
Won't
say
that-
anything. Can he wear like a fucking Canopy
No.
Girl shirt, I guess?
Not-
Like at his
no,
concerts?
they're not allowed in any way to promote their product.
Oh, that's a weird one.
Well, yeah. Well, what do you need them for? Right? I just don't get it. So even if they
Well, I
do,
guess so then they have his product or whatever it is. And then they have Seth's product, that's the leaves. But
so that's how it works, is that they make an announcement that, oh, we got Seth Rogen and his brand. So people then buy that brand. Is that it?
that's it.
Like, is
that's
that
it, yeah. And if it's good, it'll be good. If it's not good, then they'll just be like, oh, it's just like all the other shit.
Well, it'll probably be, there won't be any of it. Because they don't have any. Nobody has any weed. Psst, hey, buddy, you got any weed?
They're like,
Eh?
no, we're growing some right now. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, no, we'll have some.
Yeah, like those 25 stores that are going to open in Ontario.
Not.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Now they're saying they're spreading in the seed in the news that not all 25 are going to be ready.
Well, I guess not. Some just got like
Right.
a third license like yesterday or the day before,
Yeah.
so that's not even like. I think that's like development, or I don't know which part it is, but like.
And there's maybe no weed for them to sell anyway. Right.
Sudbury's getting 2 shops. One is going to be open on April 1st, so that's cool.
So, but the sad thing is because they didn't know anything about cannabis, these pinheads that have been allowed to make billions of dollars expanded into greenhouses. They shouldn't have, because that'll grow mids. Right? That's why they're making the big issue here. I don't know why they did that. Like, well, I
someone
know why
told
they
them.
did, because it was cheap, and they thought they should.
Well, and they looked at other like places, you know, but they looked at like Spain where they do it. Well, it's fucking a lot hotter in Spain, I think, or it's a lot nicer, but
Well, it's still.
and other like vegetable production, you know what I mean? But
It's the humidity.
some of
It's
those
bad.
vegetable productions are only like seasonal too, so then it's not the same.
Greenhouses are like, they're okay for lots of stuff, but not cannabis. It does not like it. It's not a good thing to do, but they don't know that. They just see it as a plant.
Yeah, they're
A
like, oh, roses
commodity.
go in a greenhouse. Then
Yeah.
we should grow that.
Tomatoes grow in a greenhouse,
Yeah.
but there's reasons why they're different. They haven't looked at it because they haven't looked at cannabis.
Well, and like the tomato still turns out all right, and the bud turns out all right. But if you look at like a nice field growing tomato or indoor, well, I guess it wouldn't grow an indoor tomato, but
No, but they do light assist and stuff like that in greenhouses.
Yeah.
tomatoes and all sorts of other vegetables, but it's not the same. It just is not cannabis, and cannabis needs certain things. And growing in a fucking greenhouse in Canada, you ain't giving it any of those things. Unless you light it up like an indoor room. And then you're still faced with the huge disadvantages of having been in a greenhouse that you
Yeah, like, I don't know, it's
didn't
hard to
need.
control, I think.
Yeah, you didn't need to do that. You should have just built 4 walls.
Like in Ontario, those greenhouses are different, but then they got to fight with the winter, you know, and they don't have to fight the humidity because it's not so humid. They can
Yeah, but
easily
it's
fight
fucking-
it, but they're fighting all kinds of other stuff because it's gonna be too hot, you know. and
Well,
they're
there's
trying
no
to
sun.
cool.
There's no point. There's no sun. Doesn't matter.
Well, even the ones here, it's like, wow,
Right?
that's even worse because it's so humid, and then they're already in a greenhouse, so that's even more humid.
Yeah. And what's the advantage of being in a greenhouse? Most of them are covered all up the side so no one can see in, also blocking out UVB rays, for fuck's sakes. The only reason you would even care about the sun is for those rays. So even if you have a glass ceiling, you get that little tiny time of fucking sun, which here today our UV rating would be like 1.
Yeah.
1. Where cannabis comes from, high THC producing, it's 11 to 14. Huh.
Weird.
Huh. And if in fact cannabis needs THC to defend against high UVB, potentially that's why it's high THC producing marijuana in those regions compared to hemp. Maybe.
You never know.
So, growing in a greenhouse anywhere in Canada does not, there is no advantage to it. There is none. Except to grow average marijuana and sell it, I guess, because that's what all you got. It's not going to grow fucking killer weed. I don't care how you do it. So they light it up, is what they do. Probably using even more power to greenhouse. The fucking heat escaping from that greenhouse is massive. Right?
It's true. Yeah.
In fucking Sarnia? In the winter?
Yeah, I tweet out on Niagara on the lake. You know, it's nice in the summer. It is like the wine country, but they get a fucking kicking in
It
the
ain't
winter.
grapes. It's not a grape tree. It happens to do okay outside in Niagara on the lake.
Near the grape trees.
But you put a pot plant beside it, and you're growing fucking average outdoor weed. Grown in Canada. Right? We've come to accept any marijuana.
Yeah, that's why I think they decided on like allowing the craft growers hopefully to do something because then that's all indoor, I think.
Well,
And that would
it
help.
shouldn't be anything else in Canada, for God's sakes. You're up against it. Why would you do that? You want to grow the best weed. Why would you put yourself in a position of having conditions you don't want?
Yeah, and if they're already irradiating it and different things to this weed, they can grow an outdoor crop and then it doesn't matter at the end of it because it's still going to get irradiated to whatever levels they want it to be at. So they can't
I
say, oh, we're doing it
guess.
for that, you know? Just do an outdoor crop in the summer, big, huge one. There you go, boom.
I've smoked a lot of outdoor, and come on, let's face it. It can be pretty good weed, but it's not very strong. Like, it could have a fabulous flavor, tremendous smell, but it doesn't get you very high. Might get you high, but not for very long. Right?
Yeah, it doesn't have that long term.
And the reason for that is it doesn't have a long enough season being beat at by the fucking sun. That's the difference. Yeah, it grows trichomes to defend against what it's presented with here in fucking Ontario or BC sun.
But yeah, that's what happens.
Right?
That's going to happen regardless, you know? Like, yeah,
This
no
isn't-
matter where it is.
This isn't the same sun as where these plants come from at 8 to 10,000 feet. under searing fucking sun.
Pretty much touching the sun.
Sun in conditions that in no way would anyone suggest you recreate. Because it's not good conditions maybe for you and me. Hindu Kush Valley is like the fucking moon.
Cold at night,
And
searing heat in the day.
Searing heat in the day and like 0% humidity.
Bone it.
Under some of the most searing UVB on the fucking scale.
True.
Interesting. I believe one of the reasons it's a hash making region is as a result of the low humidity. The plant
Trikes
needing
just fall off. They're like
Well.
dehydrated.
plant needs to grow more trichomes to stop the loss of moisture from its body into the 0% humidity. And it just coats it. That's why it's really, really frosty weed.
Makes it tighter yet.
But if you have 50% humidity in your flowering room, the plant knows this, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Plant
it does for
analyzes what the fuck is going on around it and goes, well, hey, I don't have to work too hard in this. Not much to defend against in that respect.
Sure. Yeah, that's why I think if you can manipulate the like barometric pressure of the room, that might have something to do with it, because that happens at the elevations. But you know, no one's doing that. Come on now, but they should. Like that's something to do with it.
Few crops are actually grown indoor, and what? People who grow orchids do it indoor.
Yep.
And they know that they have to recreate the exact conditions of where the orchid came from for it to even flower. Like, it's a tricky thing. It won't do its stuff if you don't do it right in the right conditions. But we've never done that with cannabis. We have ignored those conditions of where it came from and have decided that for some reason we could do it better. Thanks, but no thanks.
Well, because we weren't really allowed to listen to Mother Nature so much, you know. We were still trying to keep her quick and easy and in and out. And like, you know, now it's like, oh, well, now we got time here.
Now, yeah, it's time to take a closer look.
Like when I grow my 4 plants, let me tell you, I ain't cutting them down early. That's for sure.
Well, no. But you could in the days gone by and sell it quite easily.
Yep.
So we have to reckon with that has taken place, and our desire, no matter what, was always, certainly when I was in the seed business, the desire was to find strains that were faster and yielded more.
It's true.
And that was an inside joke, or off to the side joke.
Well, that's not what every customer wants. But he's not going to ask you for the fastest, largest, yielding, and strongest pot.
So this has been the desire through it all, is to find that. That's the most important thing, because indoor was always too small. It was not big enough.
They're like, 3 to 4 feet, you know, that's what people are looking for. Now it's like, well, you got like a 10-foot plant there, I'm doing it indoor. You're like, oh, wow, yeah. But it's true, back then it was not like that. I'm sure there was people doing it, but not like there is now. Where they've realized that bottom growth is going to relate to that top growth. So they're like,
Yeah,
let's put it in a 100-gallon pot and see what happens.
pretty big plant. Kind of likes being that way.
And it'll do what you let it do.
But it's a strong plant, and it's survived us doing it all sorts of different ways.
Beating it down like a fucking...
Right? You go, what? 2 weeks veg and you're flipping me? What the fuck?
I think
Okay, here we go.
The original Sea Green formula was like 3 days or something. Like,
Yeah.
clone has roots, put it in Rockwell, leave it for 3 days, then flip on day 4 or something. Like,
Yeah. Cops are coming.
right?
Right.
And the timing starts now.
And that's why it was done. And primarily then, that's why it always has been done. But
I was always that curious guy. I was like, well, what if we just leave a little row for another couple of weeks and see what happens, you know? Like, these are so small, and like, you know, and that's when we found out, it turns out a little better, or does something different, you know? Like,
you don't know till you find out.
yeah.
All right. So, yeah, it'd be fun to be able to experiment a little bit to see.
Yeah, like they have a recreation and development license, but I don't really know. I haven't looked into it so much, but I don't know how you can really make so much money off that to keep your R&D going. Like, you know what I mean? So
I have recreational on my shirt. Should get recreational and development.
parks and
shirt.
recreational and
Parks and recreational. I
we should
gotta,
get shirts like that made. For the
I gotta
420.
write that down. Parks and recreational. There's a pen. Can you grab me that pen? Yeah, I'll have to use that on 420.
Yeah, get some shirts that are like the Parks and Rec shirts. There. They'll be like, "What? What is this?" I always think the Parks and Rec guys are like the funniest now because every time we always talk about them for whatever reason. Well, about 420 obviously, but there's one of them that is on like Parks and Recs who's like it's like Adam Sandberg or something like that, and he's fucking like a loud talker, so they put him out as the Parks and Rec guy. And so when he comes inside, he's just always yelling at people, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, 420 continues to carry on. And we'll be ready.
It'll be there. It'll be at the beach.
Yeah. And it'll be spectacular. And everyone should attend. Get yourself a booth before they all get snapped up. It's way fun out there in booth land. And it's the biggest party in Vancouver all year long.
Yeah, the VPD said they're not going to do anything because they know better, and why would they do anything?
Well, last year there was a fellow had a leaf blower.
Oh yeah, they didn't want that. They didn't want to be leaf blowed with
He
weed.
had a leaf blower that he had rigged up somehow. I didn't get that close to him all day, but he could actually fucking load it up with weed and blow the smoke out of this leaf blower. And it was wild fun and quite effective. So the police this year asked Dana, they said the only concern that they did have, only request that they had, they said,
Not to be leaf blowed at.
was to have him not blow the smoke directly at them. So that's pretty good.
And we said, if you start busting people, you're getting smoked out.
Yeah, we're going to use the leaf blower.
Okay, well, that's a good idea, actually. Hey, they're fucking with the booth. They just grab that thing, just cloud the fucking whole booth. The cops are like, we can't even move.
We'll call it the smoke screen.
Yeah. Okay, run, everybody.
And when the smoke clears, we're all gone.
And just the cops are there holding
Yeah,
cuffed with each other.
All the booths and all the people are just gone. And then the grass might be trampled a bit.
We'll come back the next day and fix that.
No, it should be
Like Keystone
way
cops,
too
all the
much
cops
fun.
are handcuffed together.
yeah.
Eating chips.
Life is like the movies. Just like Pineapple Express.
Yeah. No,
So-
those guys get like shot up and stuff and everything. I forget exactly that movie. It's kind of a weird one.
It's funny, the people who would be really knowledgeable about cannabis have not come forward to fucking sell too much cannabis. Really, it's just kind of quasi-celebrities that are loosely attached to...
Like, yeah, we know, we smoke weed.
Yeah, remember Pineapple Express? Well, that wasn't really about weed. It was about murder or some fucking thing, right? Just they happen to have cannabis, and that's Hollywood's way. Hollywood wouldn't be able to present weed in a good way. It's got to be attached to some fucking dangerous thing somehow.
Yeah, like Homegrown with Billy Bob Thornton, that movie. They made it kind of good, but they still had the murder.
There was guns on the fucking poster.
Well, yeah,
with the weed,
they murdered
right?
the fucking the guy that was the bad guy, but they still murdered the guy.
Yeah, and that's okay.
The city protected him.
But yeah, it all continues. This fucking outfit in, I don't know where they're based necessarily, Bonify, who got caught flipping 200 kilos of black market weed. and it is the most suspicious thing, really. Like,
Winnipeg.
I just don't fucking get it. So this company, Bonify, was fucking potentially doing this. And this other company, RavenQuest, goes in to investigate. And at the end of the day, they said, yes, this is illegal weed being fucking presented. And the investigator is now the CEO of that company that he's accused. He has become... They took over that company.
He's going to keep him safe?
Well, what the fuck? How is this possible? The guy who says that you're doing wrong gets your company because he says you're doing wrong. Right? So the RCMP just announced that, yeah, we're not going to even investigate it.
Like right? Legal weed, fucking whatever.
They're not even going to bother.
Do your job.
Right? So they threw a couple people under the bus right away as soon as they got caught. That they were apparently strong arming. They said they were strong arming the upper management to shut up about it.
Just coming in and like, got a gun right here, boys.
Like, really? You go, what the fuck? And the RCMP goes, yeah, I don't know. There's nothing, no reason to investigate this. Right? You go, what the fuck?
There was strong arming. They were like, I don't think there was strong arming.
But those people who are doing it in a dispensary here in Vancouver, doing exactly the same thing, selling fucking black market weed, but they're not lying about it. They're actually admitting that they are. Not like Bonify, who fucking lied to everybody about it.
Yeah.
Grr.
They're just like, whatever.
So this clown takes over their fucking company. You go, holy fuck.
Well, no, and the other part of this thing is that weed that they have, it's still out there, and I think they're probably still selling it.
If the rest of them aren't as well. There's no reason to stop that. And I don't want to see them try to. There's no point. Like, you should just fucking figure it out. You greedy motherfuckers. You're all just trying to angle how it can be worth as much as fucking mathematically possible in every sector. So, when that ends, then we'll get down to having some better weed.
Yeah, I'd like to see the weed get good. Be like, oh yeah. Like, not have to worry, you know? Like, every jar you open, you're like, this is going to be good. And then you just have to worry about which flavor to try. Not like, oh, I need to worry about which brand and if it's going to be good. Houseplants, yeah, I got my poinsettias tonight. I'm going to try those.
Should be able to go fucking anywhere, rent a space indoor, and grow weed to our heart's content.
Like a repurposed storage locker, eh? With all these personal cells. You just go in, grow your own.
Wherever it is. Why the fuck do I need a great bunch of permission to do that? I should be electrically inspected to make sure it's safe.
Matter. They don't get you when I plug in my heater that I've bought. That's
well, true enough. You know, like, I agree with that.
I don't know how many watts it is, but probably more than a lamp.
It's all CSA approved equipment.
That's what they're telling me.
Right? So, at any rate,
I didn't buy
beyond that, well, in my mind, no one else should give a fuck. However much weed I grow and what I do with it. Like,
yeah,
really?
It don't matter.
Like, why? Other than you absolutely do not want me to make any money off it.
No, but that's fine. Whatever, I don't care if they just let me grow.
No way that I
I'd
can make money off it. Only certain people can make money off it. Now.
Yeah, that's what they're worried about. They're like, well, we don't want everyone making the money.
So they go, no, you can't. You people can't make money at it.
Like, but
So you only get to grow 4 plants. That's why you can only get to grow 4 plants, so you can't make any money off it. Like, really?
I'm growing 400 pounds off 4 plants.
So, no, I should be able to grow as much as I want, do whatever the fuck I want with it.
I just want to grow a lot of plants because I can make hash really easy. You know, you have a lot of plants, you just make some hash. Good.
I think it's better to have lots of plants to choose from, and fucking then you've got, like, take care of your own supply needs.
That too. Yeah.
And the joy of doing that. But whatever, right?
Oh, it's great to pick fresh flowers like that. Yeah. Yeah, when I used to grow back in the day, yeah, we used to, when we'd harvest, we'd all get to pick like 10 tops. I guess it was more sea green, so it'd be like 10 little, you know, plants. And that was like for our own head stashes. So we'd each go like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Yeah.
And yeah, those were always the nicest looking when they're fresh.
But no, we'll grow the weed and we'll give it to you, and that's it, that's all.
And then they're giving us like the shitty part too. They're just like, oh, there's some crumbs. Throw that in there. Oh, it's 0.8. Oh, we'll throw a couple crumbs in. Okay, that's how you get it. 0.1, 1.0, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll give them extra. Give them 1.1, everyone. Just, yeah, see those crumbs? Throw a little bit in.
So,
Or a seed. Just throw a seed in there. It weighs like 0.2 or something.
we didn't even care there was seeds. Who knew? Back in the seed days, you didn't even know there was such a...
That was weed. You know,
Potential
you
of-
take the seeds out, you smoke her down. Done.
And it was still great. And we still continued to smoke it, no matter what.
And even smoke the leaves that you grew from those seeds, you know? Just had leaves on it. You're like, oh, that's weed. If I can chop her up.
Chop her up. Didn't work.
And I always
Little
used to
bit.
think, we'd dry it up and we'd smoke her, but I always think, like, where's the seed come out of here? Like, leaves and leaves.
Yep. But that's for another show.
So harsh, that shit.
Well, that was good. That was fun. I'm glad you came in.
Yeah, good timing.
It was perfect timing. And I'm thrilled that all you folks joined us as well. And happy that you do each week. And hope you, I don't know, do you enjoy what you see? Should I even ask that?
If you do,
No.
give us the thumbs up
Oh, the thumbs
and
up
subscribe.
hurts so much. The thumbs up and subscribe. Yes.
That's what they say on every YouTube video.
Yes, there's a big run for thumbing up.
I was like, what?
So yeah, we'll do tune in to all the other fine programming here every day on Pot TV, and you will be just equally as entertained, if not more, every other day.
Yeah,
I
true.
think. Not too sure it's as spontaneous, perhaps.
Friday's pretty spontaneous sometimes.
So there you go.
Short notice.
Plan ahead for the spontaneity of Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks to Anil for making this fucking shit work. Don't know how he does it.
Me neither. I try at home and my fucking things just crash out.
He always got the switches and the fucking bells and whistles. That's the thing. So, so until next time, enjoy your weed as we all do, and we'll see you on the rebound. Thanks for tuning in. Peace
Awesome. Have a good day.
and pot.
40,000 people packed the area today.
20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13,